Okay, here we are with Big Blueberry, very French, taxi member. We're going to just have a real informal conversation today. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about your experiences with taxi and why you're so the guy to do it the taxi way. Let's see, how long have you been a taxi member?
I joined January of 2008.
Okay, and we're doing this video in May of 2009, so just over a year basically.
Year and a half.
Yeah, not quite a year and a half. And how many submissions do you think you've done, actual songs you've submitted, even if it's the same song to more than one listing in that year and a half time frame?
Actually, the first year I can tell you exactly because I did a little statistical analysis of that first year. Submitted 107 songs.
Okay.
And got forwarded on 47.
You do realize that's quite a higher average than most people, but that's really great. I mean, basically half your songs.
Yeah. I think it ended up like 45%.
Right, that's great. Now, do you do a particular style of music and that's all you do, or do you work with different styles? What's your approach to coming up with the goods, basically, that you need to use for this process?
I do a variety of styles, actually, but I think one of the things I learned early on was might be better to not try to be so varied with my styles at first and try to get a better understanding of just what my strengths are.
Right.
Figure out, okay, what style am I really good at? What style am I kind of okay at? What styles do I have no business even trying for?
Right.
And right now I would say my strengths are guitar driven, rock tracks, rock and metal.
Okay.
But I also do pop rock, indie rock. Pretty much if it's guitar driven,
okay,
you know, if that's the kind of stuff I'm doing.
So I think what I'm hearing is you want to vary your styles, but you don't want to try to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
Okay. With that in mind, do you write everything that you submit yourself, or do you co-write it with other people? Is it some kind of a mixture?
It's a mixture. For the instrumental tracks, it's pretty much just me. But then I also do typical songs, and I have several co-writers, a couple that I write with majority of the time, but I mix it up every now and then.
So percentage-wise, how many do you think are your solo writes and the others being co-writes? Just, rough ballpark.
I would say for every one song I do as a co-write, I do probably 3 or 4 instrumentals of my own. Okay,
so maybe 20%, 25%, something like that. How many songs actually got placed?
Got signed to a deal with Taxi?
Right.
The first year, none.
Okay.
Then the second year, one song that was forwarded got signed, and it was my first deal through Taxi. And I'm still waiting to find out how many more they're wanting to actually sign.
So, okay, so Taxi specific, going straight through the Taxi route, there were no placements in the first year, and one so far in the second year, right? Now,
well, I would say not a placement, because I think most people in the film and TV industry think of placement as something that's actually been shown on air with maybe a film or a TV show.
Gotcha. So these are acceptances of your songs for the purpose of
placements through film and TV.
Right. So they're in a library, basically, that people are presenting to film and TV users. So it's interesting. You did a lot of submissions. Roughly half of them got forwarded by Taxi, which means they got through the screening process and they were good enough quality and appropriate to the listings and all that kind of stuff. But you didn't end up with, out of the 47 songs that got forwarded, you didn't end up with 46 acceptances and placements in the library. So when you got to the end of that first year, part of it's going to depend, of course, on what your expectations were. But did you think Taxi hadn't done the job for you, or you weren't going to renew your membership? Where was your thought process at the end of that first year?
Actually, when I initially joined, I signed up for 2 years because I knew that just giving it a 1-year shot probably wasn't going to be fair. Cause before I joined Taxi, I'd actually researched Taxi for probably about a year or so. I kind of was at a crossroads with my musical career. I wasn't sure, do I want to continue doing something with music? I tried doing the band route for several years and just got tired of trying to do that and was about to give up. And an independent songwriter in the Nashville area who had kind of an indie deal going on contacted me after hearing some tracks I had done online and wanted to use some of them for her album. So I ended up co-writing 4 songs with her. And it was about that point where I was at that crossroads, and with her thinking my songs were good enough to use for her album, I thought, well, maybe I am good enough to do Taxi, because that was one of the reasons I hadn't joined earlier. Was I wasn't sure, am I good enough? Are my skills at the point where I can do this?
So in addition to the skill thing, it sounds to me like you were at a point in your music career where you were thinking more about writing songs for other people to use rather than for yourself or your band or anything like that. So that implied you had to kind of expand your horizons a little bit then and not just write for you.